plate. We just have rolling mills. So I'll show you how to use your rolling mills to achieve perfect square wire, and I'll explain as we go along why I think it's better, actually better than having a square draw plate. Right, so I'm just going to put this through the mills a little bit. Right, so while I'm milling this out, I'll give you a bit of info on milling. I was planning on doing a rolling mills special edition of a golden nuggets of jewellery making wisdom video soon, but this kind of thing will be in there. And when you're milling stuff out, what I do is put it in, so it's got a bit of a square section on it now, yeah? I put it in, let me tighten up a bit, squeeze it through one way, and then catch it as it comes out the other side. I rotate it just 90 degrees and then roll it back through. Then it comes back through and catch it where it started. I do that because you're squeezing the metal and you're making it harder, so I'm trying to minimize the amount of extra hardness the metal is going through. If I sort of go that way and then back again, it's got extra squeeze, so it got a little bit harder, and then turn it this way, backwards and forwards. No, just go through once, rotate it, and then bring it back through. And I always do that. It's getting the most out of your annealing. Also, I'd like to say, as soon as the metal starts bending, it means it's getting overly hard. Like you're really squeezing it through and the metal's just like going, ah, and then just starting to curl up. Like you shouldn't be putting through the mills long curly bits of metal. Just as soon as it goes off straight, it means it's getting really hard, so you need to anneal it again. Like if you're here working with me, if I see you putting things through 3-4 times, I'm just like, yeah, the metal's getting way too hard. And you know when sometimes the metal can curl so much, you get little shavings of metal underneath the rolling mills. If you've got little bits of metal there, you're majorly crunching the metal up. Like you don't need to squeeze it that hard. Just do it once or twice, maybe 3 times, and then anneal it again. Like it's not, for the benefit of keeping that metal fresh and nice, it's worth spending that time annealing it quite often. Because you know, if you squeeze it too much, get it too hard, you get little internal fractures, and then you roll it through, it starts to, as well as being hard, it's starting to curl, and you can get little splits down the edges. And then you've got to go to the, next time you're annealing it, you've got to kind of sweat the surface and melt it again, just the surface, to get rid of all those little cracks. Like you're treating the metal quite badly if you're making it curl up by squeezing it too much through the rolling mills. So I reckon like once, twice, 3 times, 4 times maybe, I don't know, I'll be looking at it. Basically the idea is if it starts to bend, like stop rolling it, go back and anneal it. Alright, so I've been milling it out a bit. That's as bent as I'll ever let my metal go. So yeah, mill it out, bends that much, I'll go back and anneal it. Never gets worse than that. So I've just annealed it again. Just going to straighten that. Now what we can do is we can square this off. Like if I had to get quite a big gauge square wire, if the holes on a square draw plate go up that big, you've got to either mill out the end a little bit, get that thinner and thinner, and then file it up so you can get it through the hole. So you just wasted that much of the metal straight away. And then a lot of work pulling it through the draw plates, getting it down. But this is much better doing it this way. So it's nice to get it kind of straight at least. With bigger gauge bits of metal, I use my wider ones. If it's smaller gauge, I use my thinner ones, but it doesn't really matter. Hold it in there on the flat sides. Push it against the things, just open it up until it goes through, and tighten up a little bit. So I know that's kind of right. So what I do is I squeeze it in a little bit so it's held there. Push those up to the mills, the rollers. Don't push too hard. I'm nervous of that steel damaging that steel, so they're touching it, but I'm certainly not pushing into it. Basically, I'm squeezing the metal gently, just as a guide to keep it nice and parallel, keep it nice and square as it goes through. I don't want it to twist slightly. So yeah, my parallel pliers are a guide for it. So I'm squeezing just hard enough to hold it in position, and then I just roll it and let it go through. Sorry about my arm getting in the way. And then before it falls out, I just hold it, and then I pull it straight coming out. Don't pull it left or right because you're turning it as it's rolling through. So I'm going to squeeze it gently, so it's not immediately obvious which way I've rolled it. So 90 degrees, do the same. Push it up to it. It's gone a little bit taller because you squashed it, but you should be able to, without adjusting it, you should be able to get it back through. Holds in there, slide it up, gently squeezing it. So you should end up doing that bit by bit. The corners should get nice and sharp, but keep it in mind to keep it nice and square, because there is a chance if you start to pull it left or right or twist it, you can end up with a, rather than a square section bit of metal, you end up with like a parallelogram, which is a bit of a problem really, because it's very difficult to get rid of that. So I'm just going to go through a little bit more. Squeeze it a bit harder than that. Boom. See, it's getting harder, it's starting to curl. I don't like that. I'm just going to straighten that a bit. Yeah, it feels really hard. So it makes me cringe when I see people on other videos like really pushing metal through and it's all going like curling as it comes out the other side. It's just doing so much damage. Okay, definitely I'm annealing this now. Can really feel the hardness of the metal. But it's nice and straight. Even though the metal's work hardened, it's not out of shape really. Corners are looking sharper, so I'll anneal that and then do the same process again. Right, I annealed it. I'm talking about being very thorough with your annealing. I'm running out of gas, so I'm going to squeeze this a bit harder than I would like to, just to make sure I can get it done for the video. Let's see if I can get some more gas tomorrow. Oh, I don't want to go in there and loosen it a bit. See, I squeezed it too hard. It's gone too flat. Come on, get in there. You can see it's looking nice and sharp now. Without adjusting that, I put it back through again. I turned it 90 degrees again, so I'm doing the first way I put it through. I'm doing that again just to make sure I've got a nice perfect square section bit of metal. It's looking alright. You want to see how it's going on? Where I like this more than the draw plates, I'm in control of the measurements. You know, draw plates, a little bit off, look. So I know what side to just squeeze it a little bit more that side and I can get it perfect. This is a draw plate, this is round holes, I haven't got a square one, but there's always numbers on them, and those numbers always mean nothing about the hole that they are next to. I don't know why they number them, they just have the holes, no one looks at the numbers. So what I've done in the past is, say there's a hole next to the edge, I'll use a diamond burr or something, put a line there, and then just over that corner, and then I'll write the measurement, like 1.2 or whatever. So when I've pulled it through, that's a definite 1.2, so I'll mark that. So it might be number 27, but you'll never remember 27 is 1.2 in the future, so just write it on the edge with a diamond burr. Just one or two of them, let me maybe mark out 1.5, 2 mil, whatever, just so it's a bit of a guide, so it's nice to know what's going on while you're putting down metal. It stops you making a mistake as well, because there is a chance you'll put it down one hole too far and then make it too thin for the job you want. Another complaint I have about draw plates is, and this is my experience of every draw plate I've ever used in my entire career, the holes don't go down like an equal amount. You might have two, like that one and that one look quite different. You'll pull it down 1, 2, 3, not too much of a problem, but then 4 will be such a struggle and you'll be snapping off the points and having to file it back, wasting metal, but you'll get it through there and then it's just gone down too far, so the difference between there is too severe. What I like about this, obviously I'm talking, the round ones is the same, but with the square wire, with the rolling mill trick, you can control how much you put it down. You want it 0.05 of a mil smaller, you can do that. But if that's a bit too big, it's too risky to go to the next one because it's going to pull it down too much. So that's my problem with draw plates, and they all do it. I've never used the carbide ones, the more expensive ones. Maybe they're better, I don't know, maybe they're higher quality. They always cost more. I just think they've got fancy bits of metal inserted in them from the looks of it. But again, when I bring up my own range of tools, they're going to have built-in stamped on there, and then the holes are going to be marked with the actual measurement, and they're going to go down an equal amount, like 0.1, 0.15 each time. So you pull in the same amount of pressure every time, and you know what your measurement is going to be after you've pulled it out, and that's going to be a high quality draw plate. I think that was the last anneal I can get out of the gas that I've got left. I was hoping to make this really thin. I was gonna show you just making proper wire out of it and then being perfectly square as well. So I'll sharpen up a little bit more, but this is going to be the end of the video, I think. So again, this just goes through, tighten up. Let me see if I can really squeeze it again. Okay, this is tighter than I would normally go through. So it flattens it so much. There's a big difference now in the distance, so I might have to open up the mills a bit to get that to go back through. Just straighten it. Definitely recommend keeping it kind of straight. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's going to help you a lot. It's easy to forget which way to turn the rollers, but basically the same as like undoing screws and stuff. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. So think about clockwise. Think about 12 o'clock goes left or goes right. Left will open it up, right will tighten it. So that's what we say in the UK. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Alright, that's looking kind of square. Right. This is rock hard now. I wouldn't normally do this, but I can't anneal it again, so I'm just going to have to do it. I just want to put it through the first way again, so I should end up with something decent square profile. Right, so there you go, square section, bit of wire, and I didn't have to waste any on the end, like sharpening it to get it to go through a square draw plate to be able to pull it through. So we've got the maximum full length. It's got longer, obviously, we've been squeezing it through there. Corners are nice and sharp, just like a proper draw plate. Is in more control of the measurements, get it to exactly what you want. And it's a shame I couldn't show you, I just don't have the gas, like completely empty. And then check this out as well. This is in the bin. I can't even refill my Zippo lighter, so it's game over today for making jewellery. But yeah, I highly recommend this technique. And I've used a square draw plate, but when I've been in a workshop where I did my apprenticeship, they had a square draw plate. But I used it a few times, but just they showed us this way and it's just better. So no one ever really touched it, it's just a dusty tool in the back of the cupboard. Yeah, if you've got rolling mills, don't need rolling mills and parallel pliers, you don't need a square draw plate. Simple as that. So we'll end it there. Thanks again. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And then see you next time for more diamond mounting. Thanks. Bye.